Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Reasonably Effective Podcast. I'm Tam Types, as always, joined by Uncommon Fossil.
Hello, and thanks for kicking us off. I tried to, and it was not a good first take, so I just passed it right back to you.
Yeah, but we are talking about rotation, something that is coming up in. It's quite a
Where,
few months away,
what, like
right? Like,
March, April, I guess? We don't know.
yeah, I think it's March. I don't remember the exact date. It should be around the time that the new expansion. We don't know the name of it. Not Prismatic Evolutions. Prismatic
Right.
Evolutions is the mini set, and then the main set, which I believe will be the Trainers Pokemon set, right? The first one of those.
Oh, is that what it's going to be? Yeah, but at this point, we've gotten all the main sets for uh, the this current block, FG, what, the H block?
Yeah, I believe it's the H block.
So then we're going to get the mini set, and then with the next main set, presumptively, I mean, I don't know if they said it, but that's probably when rotation will happen with the next
Mhm.
next block starts. So we
Yeah, and that will
basically
be
go ahead.
yeah, that'll be the I block. The Prismatic Evolutions will still be the H block. So
Yeah.
it's not exactly by year. I mean, I think in Japan it is, but we get the sets. It's like the evolution set is dropping in December, I believe December 6th. So that could be wrong, but sometime in December in Japan, and then we'll get it in January internationally. But obviously, Pokemon is like primarily it's like Japan first. So those cards will be considered essentially like this year, even though they're coming out next year. So
Okay.
and we're talking about like all the cards rotating. Like Crown Zenith came out in the year later than Silver Tempest, but it still is those cards are all rotating. And with rotation, it's really simple. So if you don't, I guess we should say what rotation is,
Yeah.
and that's all the cards from 2 years ago, yeah, or like 3 years ago, will just be removed from the format. That'll be 2022. All the cards will be the cards printed around then will be rotated,
Right.
and those are all the Sword and Shield cards in the game right now are just going to be removed. It's by regulation mark, which you can see in the lower left-hand corner next to like the set symbol. You can see like the letter F on this execute card I have here pulled up. It's
Right.
quite small. Some people like kind of miss it, but
Yeah. So starting with the D block is when the first time they gave the regulation marks internationally. I guess Japan started with the A block, and I think we saw a Chinese cards, which they're on a whole different thing, but they started the regulation marks with A there as well. But they're at a sync with everyone else. So the F block is the ones rotating to make it simple. And although for trainers in particular, some of the cards have been reprinted later in later sets. So things like Boss's Order, don't get too excited if you hate it. Yes, it was an F block card, but they've reprinted it, so it's sticking around.
yeah, in cards, specifically Boss's Orders and Professor's Research, I imagine we'll be seeing. I think there's only two like it, right?
Yeah, what that they constantly reprint? You mean?
Would they have like the name, like but the sub name?
Oh,
Um,
so they could change, right? Like Rowan or whatever. Uh,
yeah, I
I
think,
think so. I think
which kind
so.
of implies that they'll be evergreen. And same thing, like certain cards, like Ultra Ball is not rotating, but Ultra Ball has rotated. I mean,
Right.
Professor's Research. I don't think it's not always been in the game. Well, okay, so there were other cards that are essentially Professor's Research, and there was a time in which we didn't have those, like a middle
Right.
time, and so. Anyways, that's just something to keep in mind. But we're mostly talking about the Pokemon. There's a lot of them. There's a lot of bad ones. So we're going to start with Brilliant Stars and just go
Yeah.
through the sets. Brilliant Stars, I guess the first one to talk about is like the Torterra line. Nothing too crazy, but there was the Grottle, which is kind of fun. It's definitely like a mediocre stage two deck. And one thing
Yeah.
that is very or moderately meaningful is that there is Torterra EX, and it's going to be pretty terrible without Grottle. So Torterra EX isn't a very good card, but it's like it's not completely terrible. But it's a kind of fun card, finding kind
Right.
of fun deck, but
Yeah, I mean, it's a stage
definitely
two deck. The Grottle has the Sun Drenched Shells, the ability, I believe. You search your deck for any grass Pokemon once per turn. Very nice. And so it helps you set up. And the single price Torterra is not bad also right now. If you're playing a Torterra EX deck, I think, well, I've did it. I played it some. It's okay. And I think I slapped one single prize or in two just to kind of help with the math in some
yeah.
cases. Um,
And then
y-
I think there's like a Beautyfly as well that was in that deck. Maybe that. Oh yeah, that's from. Should we save that for
Yeah,
later
let's
when we
save it
get
for
to ours?
later. We'll just kind of
Okay.
scroll through. That
Yeah.
that's an engine piece. But again, those are cards that haven't seen a lot of play that I don't think either of us are like crushed that they're rotating. I would say.
Yeah, I know some people like Torterra, but it's not very good. There's also the Wormadam like cards, which are played in Zoroark, and
Yeah.
there's something.
Yeah, I brought it up, and it's fine. I don't think certainly Wormadom's rotating. What I think there were three types: fighting, grass, which we're looking at the grass one, and then there's the
Metal.
metal. And it's okay, but it's not great. Even it's not good now, even without the Zoroark,
Yeah.
without the box.
Yeah, all the V stars are rotating. Shaman is one. Shaman actually like has seen like a little bit of play, I guess. Not that much, but like in some random decks here or there. People have tossed Shaman V Star and it's okay. Like it's an okay I was gonna say revenge attacker, but that's probably not the term. Like comeback. I don't know what the term is for an attack. It does more based on prices and it kind of like one shot Charizard V Star, but it's not that good. And I don't
No,
know how many of these like mediocre cards we need to talk about,
I
but
don't think so.
um,
Well, I think we got enough ones. If they're ones we're excited about, right? I would say.
yeah. Yeah,
Um,
Grottle is a cool card in
Yeah,
Torterra
I'm gonna
though.
miss Grottle because it's fun. I haven't played it. It's nice an option. Yeah, but so the briefly, all the V's are rotating. The basic V's, the V Maxes, V Stars. There's not a lot of V Maxes left, but there are some, so they're going away, and all the Radiants are going to go away. So those are just. We'll obviously talk about some specifics, but that's for categories or classifications of Pokemon. We're losing all of those. Um,
Yeah.
so the first card that I think I'm going to really miss is NTV. Do you have anything before that?
No, I mean there's like the fire package. So the fire package has NTV. We need to talk about Magma Basin. The
Hmm.
fire package was in this set. Magma Basin. There's also Kindler. Kindler is like a kind of funny supporter. I haven't really played it, but it did seem kind of interesting. And then Moltres as well, which is before Entei, which is like an okay attacker. It's not great, but it is
No.
definitely a playable card.
Yeah, it was designed to go with this. We're losing Magma Basin, like you said, so we're not taking the cards in order, which you had said that was our plan. So, all right,
Yeah,
I'll
but I feel
flex,
like we
and
need to talk about Magma Basin with NTV. I feel like those are kind of related,
I don't
you
know. Or
know.
you could talk about NTV, talk about the other. It's a legendary, right? Pokemon or whatever. It's one of those. It's a
Yeah,
trio of some
we could talk
types.
about
So
yeah, but
anyway,
only two of the three of the trio are in the set. The other one already rotated. So,
I know that's a
Pokemon
little
isn't taken
weird.
in order either.
So right, so NTV itself, 230 HP, nice tankiness. A lot of people like Entei all around. Attack for 2 energy does 20 plus 20 per Pokemon in play, both you and your opponent. Draws 1 with fleet footed. That's okay. Magma Basin helps you accelerate energy. Sets it up. So fire boxes have been a thing. Never probably the top thing, but they've tended to be as a an option, right? There's always some people messing around with fireboxes, I would say. And NTV, is pretty much always been in those fireboxes, and it's fun and it works pretty well.
Yeah, and it's the same attack 20 for each basic, both yours and your opponent's, which increases with area 0 underdepths.
Right.
NTV doesn't really take advantage of that, but Raikou V, as you mentioned earlier, so now we'll jump to it. Um, It's also is like similar. They have the same ability and essentially the same attack.
Right.
Raikou V does have lower HP, lower retreat, but as you said, it is a trio. But the one card isn't on the trio. But Raikou V is definitely a very good card. I mean, it's not
Yes.
actually that much. It's actually probably it's objectively like worse than NTV probably. I don't know,
Well,
but
yeah, look, on its own, it's worse, right? But
yeah,
like
it has the
with
high lower retreat, but
lower
it's not
retreat,
that meaningful.
right? The
I don't.
HP's 30 less, right? The Magma Basin does 20 to it, so you're at what 210 usually with the NTV. But the Raikou goes in. You've had when it first came out, we had the Flaffy, right, that could accelerate, and then we got the generator and the Miraidon box. So Raikou's probably seen more play than the NTV, I would think.
Yeah,
Competitive.
it's mostly been with Miraidon. I mean, it's been a loss. It's been in different things. It's a solid card hitting a solid weakness. Fire
Yeah.
weakness theoretically should be good because it hits two different types, like all the grass Pokemon and all the metal Pokemon. Unfortunately, grass has been really bad. There is
Yeah.
the Teal Sugar Pontiacs. That's really the only like decently good grass card we've seen in the past. I don't know. It's been quite a while since grass has been good. But then with Raikou V, or then metal, like you got like Dialga V Star, which is
Yep.
okay. That's been like an okay deck in the meta since it's come out, which we'll maybe talk about a little bit later. But then you have Raikou V hitting lightning weakness, which right now is like you got Lugia V Star, Palkia V Star,
Yep.
Sparkability EX, a bunch of Pokemon, and so it's been a good like tech, unlike the NTV, which is not really a meaningful tech ever.
Right. I mean, you could do. It's harder now that the Suicune V is the third of the Pokemon, the one that wrote here earlier. You could play like a box too. I've done like an Arceus VSTAR, which we're going to be getting to that, and that one I think is worth a mention later on. But you could do a box, and they're also one energy, one color type, so you could have your luminous energy. That's the one, right? As long as it's only special energy, it provides one of any type or every
Yeah, there
type.
was a deck kind of like that. There was you had Aurora Energy, which is
Right.
it's different than Luminous, definitely, but in that deck it functioned more or less the same. And then you did have a bunch of different Pokemon Vs, including like maybe Entei V or Raikou V or something. And then you'd power them up in various different ways. And then you also had the Galarian Bird trio. You'd have two of those, probably in Galarian Zapdos V, Galarian Moltres V. Obviously Vs have like fallen off, but there were some cool things. Oh, you might have had like Melanie. I don't know. There were some different things, but it was interesting. But right now, basic Vs, these are I think the best. And then there was like Raichu V as well. Raichu V is like
Right.
good in like Rhydon, but not too much to say about it.
I mean, it's the one in a Miraidon deck that can do the big damage potentially, but you need energies to get rid of. So, you know, can you get it set up? I don't know, but it gives you the big hitting potential in a Miraidon box, right? That's what it is. But doesn't really
Yeah.
go in other decks, I don't think.
No. It's a bit interesting with Magneton, but I don't know. I don't really care that much for Raikou V, to be honest, or Raichu V, or Raikou V too, for that
Yeah,
matter. But
I like
definitely not
Raikou,
Raichu.
Raichu and Entei. You not so much, but we covered those. So, I mean, we skipped over Lumineon V. Is there anything else?
Well, yeah, no. There's another card. There's potentially the most meaningful card rotating is no, it's Manaphy. Which is actually Lumineon V is before Manaphy, but Manaphy is like really good, obviously. I mean, I don't know
Yeah.
if it's really like you can't really compare it to anything else outside of me. Like, I guess Rabs. So Rabsca is, I guess, the replacement for Manaphy.
Well,
We'll see if we get a replacement. There were some things kind of replacing it, but
what we had before, right? We had Manaphy wave availability, right? Protects your bench. We had before this, we had the Mew, right, with bench barrier,
mhm.
and there's been other things too.
Yeah, and I believe there was a like a 2 month period without bench barrier, and that was
Right.
kind of annoying. I don't think bench
W-
barrier is problematic for the format in any manner, really. So
Let me. Yeah, I just want to
yeah,
say because back when the Mew rotated, that was the time when I think Urshifu V was very good. Urshifu V Max was very good, and that would smash away at the bench. So there was this thought then that Urshifu would dominate the world at that point, but it actually didn't. So losing the bench barrier, it wasn't as disruptive as we expected, I think.
well, I think Urshifu wasn't as good because of UV Max though, which destroyed it and was like really good. I mean,
May,
admittedly, there was time without that as well, and Urshifu V Max was pretty good. Like the issue was it kind of just destroyed single prize decks,
yeah,
and that's not fun. You want to be able to play single prize decks. So spread's okay right now. I mean, one of the best spread Pokemon's Dragapult VMAX, and I mean, if he doesn't stop that, nothing really.
right.
Rabsca stops it, but that's an evolution. So Dragapult VMAX also destroys the Rabsca before or the Rellor before evolution.
Right. So I don't know how big a deal it'll be. My guess, and also Uxie is a new spread deck that we've both played some. And that again, if it places damage counters, man, if he doesn't stop that
Yeah,
also.
would be stopped, and Jirachi would stop that. The Uxie, which is I don't
Right.
know, no one's going to play Jirachi post rotation probably, but it's still something to consider.
No. So my guess is they let the Mew rotate before, and then like the next set or two, like maybe it was probably like the second set, or and then Manaphy came along. Although rotation occurred at a different time last time, right? Because it was
Well, this
last.
wasn't not last time. I think it was like 2 times ago or something,
Well,
or a while.
what
We're talking a while ago.
Well, but yeah, but Brilliant Stars was the first set for this block, right? For the F
Yeah.
block, and in rotation it happened earlier than Brilliant Stars being released because we had it
Yeah,
because
it was I think
otherwise
evolving skies.
okay because although so the timing's different is my point when
Hmm.
this was the last time I think there was a gap between the first set and between rotation this in the first set releasing, which I don't think will happen again. So my guess is they're going to release another bench barrier card in within a few sets. That's my guess, but we'll find out.
Yeah. Me
Um,
too. So we'll see.
yeah. So I mean, right now, man, if he's not huge, and Lumineon V, I want to mention right with Luminous Signs, you get to search your deck for any supporter on play. Now, when Lumineon V was printed, that's when Quick Ball was the primary basic Pokemon search. So that paired with it, obviously, we lost that. We have Nest Ball. Cards like Lumineon V have gotten a lot tougher to play. So that hurts Lumineon V. It's obviously still in a number of decks. It's a very good card, so we'll miss it, I think.
Yeah, I guess I don't really love it that much. Like, I liked more explosive draw options like Dedenne GX, Crobat V, which were just draw cards on play.
Yeah,
I know some people don't like that though, and Lumineon V definitely felt, I think, pretty fair, which was nice to see something like that in the game.
right.
With support Pokemon like this, some of them feel like super good. Like right now, Pheasantip EX feels insane because of its higher HP and
Yeah.
its like consistent draw, and Lumineon V's felt fair.
Yeah.
Then
Well, just yeah, I think one of the things you mentioned, the HP is a big deal. This Lumineon V is 170 HP. That's, I think, a good number for a support Pokemon. It's a two prizes, 170 HP. Pheasantipity at 210. It's a little probably too strong.
yeah, it doesn't. And it definitely does matter some, and it's not like power creep. It's like because Squawkabilly EX had 160.
Yeah.
So yeah, and Rotom V we'll talk about has 190, which is a little higher, but also Rotom V is a little like its ability is, I'd say, like weaker than some of the other ones as well. It's
Well,
a good ability, but
it it
it's
it's
not like a burst.
it's
It's
different.
something that you kind of always have to play down in your deck.
It's very different, right? Rotom V,
Mhm.
very, very, very different type card. But anyway, we're not at that yet. So let's see. What's the next card we're jumping to? I'm scrolling down a bit and not seeing a ton.
I'm trying to think of how like good. Like there's the Empoleon, there's the Lapras. Lapras doesn't seem playing so long. There is
Yeah,
this
maybe.
Ice Cube that's non-standard. There's the Pachirisu with
See, I'm into the
Honchkrow
psychic
V.
Pokemon already. With like, I've skipped by all those
Yeah,
things.
no. The Psychic Pokemon. Oh, there's a Dusknoir that's actually kind of cool. That I don't think anyone's really played it. Even with the Dusknoir line being good, and it's really like not very good, but it's really interesting. It's as often as you like during your turn, you can move special energy around from your Pokemon to other Pokemon, which is interesting. Special energy right now are pretty mediocre, and they really were for most of the time this card was in format, so it didn't really see. Well, they were okay. Well, no, Lugia is good, right? Lugia was good, but
Right.
that kind of just does all the stuff that Dusknoir does as well. So there wasn't really a time for this card to shine. But with the Dusknoir line being interesting, this is an interesting card to consider. Um, because of like what it can do. I don't know. I think it's a cool card. Energy moving is kind of interesting. Obviously,
Hmm.
this card wasn't good, but it's a cool card.
Yeah, I mean, you have to have a deck that wants Dusknoir and play special energy, right? Like Charizard EX loves Dusknoir, but it doesn't play special energy. So this Dusknoir wouldn't fit in. So I'm not sure.
Yeah, maybe with a new Dachsbun EX, which is kind of like Cheryl, where you heal up all. I don't remember exactly what it does, but it heals up and discards the energy. So you can move the
Okay,
energy off, heal up, move it back on. But ultimately, one big issue is that there's no typed special energy. There's legacy energy, and then of course there's luminous, but luminous will not do what you want. It will not
right.
provide any type of energy. So
Well, and,
um,
and we do have a special energy, at least one special energy that's rotating. We'll get to so that is played a lot still, but we'll save that
is
for
it
later.
okay? Oh yeah, that one. Yep. Yeah. Which
It,
might
it
was played with the Whimsicott V-Star. Yay.
Yeah. So anyway, so we
Um,
got Mimikyu VMAX. I don't think we're discussing that.
I think that rotated. Yeah,
Oh,
that
is that
rotated.
one that? Oh, that's an E. Yeah, this
Yeah,
is
and
one.
Alchemy also rotated. Yeah, so some of these cards rotated earlier. Mimikyu V was a reprint of a card in Battle Styles, which was last or the year before, 2021.
Okay.
Um,
I mean, we got the
yeah,
Lucario. That's okay, but again, I don't think we
yeah,
need to discuss that,
yeah,
right?
reminiscent of theme deck days. But
Yes.
yeah,
Um, I mean, I messed around
the,
with some of the mucks with some decks that didn't work overly
Master of
well.
the Mohawk. That seems like that did not go well. Lightbard is interesting as it does have trade. This is discard one, draw two.
Yeah.
I believe we will not have this post rotation unless I'm forgetting. So we are losing Curly as well. We'll certainly get to that.
Right.
Um,
What
I don't.
the interesting thing when Light Party came out, it was much worse than Curlier for the most part.
Oh wait, sorry. I know we're not losing trade. Trade is coming back in 2025. Yeah, never mind.
Oh,
Maybe not the first set, but it is with Ends Zorag EX. So that will have trade.
okay. So
It is
we'll.
a two prizer though, so that might be good or it might be
Oh,
bad.
that's
It's
right.
an interesting card,
Yeah.
but yeah.
Yeah, I mean, giving a two prizers, it's a tricky question, right? What I was going to say is when Lepard came out, it was bad, 100 HP, which was bad because level ball was the big way to get the Curlias, which is because that goes up to 90 HP. But then once we lost level ball, if you didn't need psychic typing per se, then Lepard became the better trade ability card, which is
Yeah, ultimately trade this like discard one, draw two hasn't been that good in the game. Like Curlia is a good card, but it's good within the context of Gardevoir. It doesn't really see much play without outside Gardevoir. There's also the Gallade we're losing, so
Right.
Liepard and like these discard one draw two abilities just haven't been that good for a decent amount of time, which is interesting.
Right. Curlia, somewhat okay. Obviously, it's in a good deck, but it was the Chinchina, right? That was one. That was one of the main engines with the same ability.
I guess, but even Chichino wasn't. It was like good. It wasn't
Well,
amazing.
it
It was
wasn't.
just pretty good.
It was only. The reason it wasn't amazing is because we had Inteleon. We had the Drizzt, right? The Drizzon Inteleon,
We had
which
Inteleon.
was
Then we also did
busted.
GX
Yeah.
uh Crobat. We had lots of different options, but regardless,
All right. Need to move on here.
then
We're losing
yeah,
what Zama the third year in a row. Zamazenta V is rotating. Is that correct?
that is true, I believe. So that's correct. This is it's like I mean, it was playable, but it's not really playable now.
Yeah.
Then there's just so many like mediocre
No.
cards here.
Right.
Barrel though, Barrel's a good card. I guess you'll talk about that one. I don't love Barrel.
Oh, but right. This is well, it's a good engine, right? It was potentially it was certainly one of the top engines for a while. When Destros Incisors draw to 5, when Skwovet came out, it picked it up, kicked it up again. And obviously, you have a lot of ways to thin your hand. So it's just a good single prize engine. And obviously, with cards like that reduce your hand size, which one of them's rotating, I'll save that till later. Or if you get Iono to 2, of course, having Barrel was nice. So I mean, that's enough on that, I think. And then one of the next after that's one of the cards I'm going to miss a lot, and that's Arceus VSTAR. The first dominant VSTAR to come out, I would say, right? It was the chase card. Attack pretty solid, 200. Accelerates 3 energy. That's great. And Starbirth, search your deck for any 2 cards once over the course of the game. Just really, really good.
Yeah, Arceus V-Star is okay now. It's not like that good, but it's certainly not a terrible card. It's a very playable card. Obviously, its attack works with the other Vs,
Right.
and which I honestly I wonder how good it would have been. Would it have been like broken if it was any Rulebox Pokemon? Like obviously it would be better, um,
Would it
but
have
I don't
made
know exactly.
the EXs overpowered, right? Any of those?
Yeah,
It might have. Plus, don't forget. Plus, you get that V Star power that's great. So you would at
yeah,
least probably slap
very good. It would be
a
better.
you'd slap a 1/1 line into a number of decks. I think. I don't know. Obviously, you could power up your Dragapult, which sometimes power. Obviously, there's options to it.
Yeah,
So
you are attacking to power it up. You could do it with the basic as well, but
yeah,
you could use like Turbo Energize. I don't know, but Arceus V-Star is definitely I think it's now a pretty um well viewed card. Like it's viewed as like a cool card that's not like super broken. I mean, it was very good when it came out.
yeah,
Arguably, there were some issues with the game. Um, like in this era where like the new deck, there's just one made new deck that was like super good, but
right,
now the cards feel pretty fair. But regardless, then we also had, or I guess why this card was so good was was double turbo energy, which we need to talk about with it because without it, it's a 3-turn attachment card or
right,
something. With the double turbo, powers it up. It's well, I don't know, it's 2 energy, so it gets you pretty close there. You do 20 less, but it's kind of like double tolerance, but it's a little worse, but not that much worse. And obviously, it's been very good. This is going to impact a lot of decks. It's going to really hurt
yeah.
Trapghost EX. Well, I don't know how many decks is impacting. Trapghost EX. I guess I'm just going through the decks. Iron Thorns. I guess Baradon plays it, but like Iron Thorns isn't like insane. And then I mean it's pretty good, but
No,
and then
right,
Baradon I guess is like with Iron Hands EX, and it's mostly Trapghost. So Trapghost is like gonna be I don't know exactly what it's going to do. There, you got like Glass Trumpet, and you can just mainly attack. There are things you can do. It's not like it's just going to be a completely unplayable card, but it is going to be noticeably worse without Double Turbo, which is right now a lot of the times the only energy played in the deck.
right. No, this is one of the double turbos. One of the cards that has a huge impact to a lot of decks, right? Not all decks, but what is seems almost at times 20-25% of the decks want or might be playing double turbo. Maybe I'm getting carried away there, but
Yeah, I don't know about now. I'm pretty sure that's not true now. Well, there's also like Lugia plays it, which is rotating,
right.
so that doesn't really matter. But
Yeah, and obviously
yeah,
Arceus has always played it, and obviously that's rotating. So, But yeah, I mean, look, the double turbo is one of those cards. Typical part of what I would think is what cards are we going to miss, but also we have what, like 4 months or something left to play these cards. So if you want to play your EX deck with double turbo energy, now's the time to do it. So that's one of the things too. What things do I want to put on my radar to target for the next couple months to make sure I play? So you want to investigate anything with the two colors energies. You got to do it now because I don't know if we're going to get that back anytime soon.
Yeah. And then there's also some like supporters, notably there's Team Yell's here. Roseanne's backups is another recovery card. There's also Silene is rotating.
Mhm.
So some big blows to control. We'll talk about a few more,
Yeah.
I guess, but definitely those are a big deal. Also, Choice Belt is not rotating. Yeah, Choice Belt is not
Oh,
rotating. I'm
really?
pretty sure.
They
Um,
reprint it?
yeah, they reprinted it in Paldea Evolved, so it doesn't do anything, but it's not rotating. So all you Choice Belt fans out there, you can still play
Yeah.
it. Yeah, it doesn't
Well,
because
there's
it does
the.
spin more to Vs,
I
but
mean, we have the one great tool deck that we'll talk about, but then there is what there's the Pachirisu, right, in format, so
yeah,
they
with
can use
Hans
it.
Code, which is in here. No, which is rotating.
Oh, is it? Wasn't there a
Yeah,
single? There's
it
not.
was in Brilliant Stars.
Oh, is it?
The Pachirisu isn't. It's here. I like
Oh,
kind of. I don't know
okay.
if I mentioned it in the video, but
All right.
um,
That's
yeah. And
fine.
then Sharon's Curse also rotating. It's
Right.
kind of part of the Arceus package. Um, Collapse Stadium. Collapse Stadium is definitely a pretty interesting card. I think it's been like a pretty cool card in Standard. I've kind of liked it. I haven't played it a ton, but it's a good card. It's an interesting card. Allows for some. It's not like a super oppressive card, but it allows for some cool things. I think. Um, Definitely kind of liked in the format.
Yeah, now it's a meaningful rotation. You mentioned Team Yelstier, is that correct?
Yeah, and Roseanne's backup as well.
Right. And we're losing Cynthia's Ambition that doesn't see a ton of play, but it's one of those supporters. If you're playing a single prize deck, it's a nice option to have. So we just lose an option for those single prize decks
Yeah,
that
I
are always
think.
struggling to survive.
Yeah, I think Hassle's probably like a pretty solid replacement. They're
Yeah.
different, but you see like a bunch of cards and they can get some stuff. And then Gloria also, I guess, supports single prizes. This card was supposed to be really good. Was not. Yes, maybe even with the EXs because we saw Bridget before, I believe,
Mhm.
was a supporter and like helped the GXs, which were supposed to be similar to the EXs. In many ways, were, but Gloria didn't end up helping them. Moving on to Astral Radiance, though.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure that's from Brilliant Stars. That's just the secret rares. There were really two main decks coming out of this set. There was the water stuff, which is pretty good, and there was the grass deck that got some hype. Gardenia's Vigor, which hasn't been great. It's been kind of bad, but that is rotating, and so
Yeah.
that's the thing.
Well, look what we
Um,
hang on. So
with Hisuian, Lillian, V-Star.
all right. So before you do it, I mean, I'm a fan of Radiant Heatran, so that's the first of the Radiants to mention, right? We didn't mention. Were there any in Brilliant Stars, by the way?
No, well, because no, read the set name.
Oh, Astral Radiance. So I think
Yeah,
Radiant
yeah,
Heatran it's an interesting one. It's not the best of them generally, but it's
yeah,
fun for some decks. So the water one, Palkia, right? That's what you're talking about there. Uh,
yeah. Well, there's a bunch of good water cards in this set.
um, y-
I mean, there's Radiant
Radiant
Greninja was
Greninja
very
too,
good.
which is the best.
There was Irida, which isn't a water card, but helps water Pokemon. And Stormy V was okay as well.
Yeah, it was okay. I mean, yes. I mean, Radiant Greninja though for water Pokemon and Palkia are the two big ones, right?
Yeah, I mean, Radiant Greninja might be the best card of the block. I don't know. It's very good though. I mean, it's like obviously the best Radiant, but
Yeah, well, it's the most
yeah, I mean,
universal, right? Yeah, it's Radiant Greninja's in the top 10 rotating cards. I got to imagine. Whatever, we're
hmm,
not going to do that today, I don't think. But
no, that'll be some other time. I was looking through and I was like, this is gonna be really hard to figure out what the top 10 are.
right. So,
But
so you mentioned one of the problems with this time period, right? Brilliant Stars, Arceus comes out, it becomes the deck to play, and now Astral Radiance and now Palkia became the deck to play. So we're in a period of in before. Uh, Brilliant Stars, we had the Mew. Mew came out, right? So it's
yeah,
period. The new deck comes out, Pokemon Prince. Like you have to spend your money to get this card if you want to compete, which wasn't great, but they've gotten past that.
yeah. And it was in the
Fortunately,
PTCGO era when it was like really. I mean, there are PTCGO had some cool things about it, but it kind of was a mess. And
yeah,
it was like really like it would literally like the servers would like crash when you tried to get your cards. It was a mess. But regardless,
yeah,
Palkia was really good with some different things.
yeah,
Looking back, you had it was Palkia and Inteleon. I'm just going to open up a random list here. You got Radiant Greninja. You had the Inteleon engine, and you had Melanie as well. You had Echoing Horn as well, so you could like fill your opponent's bench if you wanted. And then you did have Irida. We need to talk about Irida with these cards. Irida is a supporter getting a water Pokemon and an item. I found it. There we go. And it's very good. It's obviously good in Chimpao. It's good in Palkia now. Palkia is obviously rotating. Chimpao Excalibur is not, but it's a really interesting card. It's been a really good card. Chimpao's going to really struggle without this card. I don't exactly know how good it will be if anyone's really going to play it. Chimpao Excalibur right now is just like a decent deck, but it's not that good, right? It's not really threatening the top decks, and without this, I don't think it's going to be doing much.
No, it's a big blow. So that, cards like that those are the interesting ones, the cards that you got to think through what other stuff it could hit. So just kind of scrolling through things. So we're losing, no, we're not losing that at all. So forget it.
Which card?
What are you going to say? We're losing Kirlia, but we're not losing this Kirlia. I mean, we are losing this Kirlia, but we don't care.
We are losing this Gallade, though. That does matter, I guess. It's the Buddy Catch one that gets a supporter. I think this card's kind of good. But we're also losing the Lightning cards. There's only 2 in the set, but they are both meaningful. They're both control as well. The one's Luxray V.
Yeah.
And the one's not just control, but Luxray V is pretty much just control. We're losing double turbo energy as well, but Luxray V is rotating. This card has been good. We do have a Luxray EX still, but those are very different. Well, I think they're pretty different cards. Luxray V is going to be leaving the format, as well as Regieleki, which has been a control card. I guess that's the main way it's seen play. Yeah. I'm not sure. But then it's seen play with the Reggie's deck, which is rotating.
Right.
Which has been a pretty beloved deck. I not really loved it because it's kind of bad. But
the Reggie's was one of the but it was one of the stronger single prize decks. I always found it inconsistent, but then you had the option with this Regieleki, which Regieleki, or or a combination of the two you wanted to play. So it saw play there, but not.
And now it is the only Regieleki as well. Now if you are playing Regis, you have to play this one. But they're not great. Then we have Diancie was a card that saw play. Diancie is a weird card. Ultimately, it fell out of format with like Prime Catcher coming out. Now it's kind of supposed to stop gusting, but it only stops supporter gusting. There's Counter Catcher and Prime Catcher.
Right.
Counter Catcher doesn't matter too much because you won't be taking knockouts in the early game if you're playing Diancie most likely, but it definitely is a card that has lost a lot of value. Also, I believe only protects basics on the bench or something. I haven't really played with it too much. And then we are also losing Machamp VMAX. No. That card's not great.
No, again, most of these cards we don't need to mention, honestly. I don't think. We're losing Darkrai VSTAR, which the attack is okay. The VSTAR power is very nice for some decks, right? You put any 2 items for your discard pile into your hand once, so that's really good there.
Oh, Hisuian Sidra VSTAR, that did win the World Championships. It hasn't been great for a while, but it did win.
It did. And then I think later on another fighting VSTAR came out that kind of bumped it out. So, but yes, it was.
Which also wasn't even that good. But yeah.
Right. I'm just trying to look. We have Dialga VSTAR that was very good.
Hisuian Sneasler is like getting pseudo reprinted with the new Toad Scroll coming in the mini set. So I know everyone's like,
wow,
we can't lose this card. So it might have been reprinted with something else similar as well before then. I don't remember.
All right, so I'm just kind of looking through because I don't want to drag this. We need to kind of move on too.
I guess we got to talk about Dialga VSTAR.
Yeah.
Let's skip.
I mean, I mentioned Dialga VSTAR. I mean, do we need to discuss it? It wasn't one of my. It was a good deck. It wasn't a great deck. It could be fun, but did it set up?
Definitely got pretty solid with Metang. I mean, right now I think it's pretty good with Arcaludon EX. I don't think it's like broken, but I think it's solid.
That's true. And that's a good point, right? If you want to play the Arcaludon with the Dialga, you got to do it now before it rotates. So that's the one to keep in mind, for that aspect too. So a way to enjoy things now.
Yeah. Another control card, Ursaluna, it's a great card. No, it's not a great card. It's an okay card, definitely, with Chandelure. And then Reggie's, the Reggie's Weird V, with Lugia, but Weird V, Ogerpon, I think that deck's actually solid.
Yeah, I mean,
I don't think people have really played it, but it's fun.
Yeah, Weird Review slaps in a few decks. We're losing Canceling Cologne. That's a meaningful card. We keep obviously Mimikyu stays in format. But Canceling Cologne's meaningful, right?
Yeah, no, it is a pretty. I mean, it's most I don't know what. I guess it might be most meaningful for Mimikyu. I was gonna say it was like for Radiant Greninja plus like into Manaphy,
And
which both of those
Manaphy,
are
right?
rotating. But definitely it is a meaningful card to lose. Um, Meaning that Mimikyu is harder to counter. Um, yeah, I don't know. There's some interesting like design stuff to talk about with that, but we're not talking about that now. We are losing
No.
Featherball, which is kind of. I've really found Featherball like so disappointing. Featherball's
Well,
been so bad. I mean,
well,
I guess it was okay in Mew VMAX. Like there
well,
hasn't
it's
really been
good
any decks,
now. It's actually
but it only switches one Pokemon, and it's
it's
like, oh,
actually
there.
very good right now in your deck with the colorless Pokemon that searches for any two items.
It's
Um,
okay, but
and then you get
it's
your
not that.
stage 2 Pidgeot-EX, and
Pidgeot,
you get the rare
yeah.
candy, and you don't have to, because it's much better than Ultra Ball, because you don't necessarily have two cards to discard then. So it's
But I wish
actually
like there's some other card
good.
it would switch out in that deck. It only switches out the one Pokemon. I wish it like it's not a terrible card, but I think it's a disappointing card because it's not something that can get multiple or it can't like I don't know. I
Yeah.
feel like you generally want ball search to be able to search for different cards. I found it really fun in like Cinderace EX with Pidgeot EX, so I could get those. You could play with like Clef and Mew EX, but those don't really all go together. Certainly not Mew EX.
Right.
But
But look, obviously, it's nowhere near as good as Evolution Incense, right? I'm not pretending that. But it's interesting that Featherball was good early on. It was okay with Mew, and then it became like almost unused. And now at the end, it's getting picked up for a very different reason. So I think that's interesting. Um,
um,
I
I
just
guess so.
look. It's interesting those dynamics. It's not the greatest. Look, there's couple cards you skipped over. One, Silene, we're losing a very important control card. So
I did mention that earlier with Yell's Cheer, but
okay, you may have.
those are kind of like linked together. We're not losing
Uh,
Palpap, but we're losing those two.
Right. So, which control right now is kind of at its height because well, certain key cards are losing. Plus, it's got the most cards. Right. It gets hurt once rotation happens, then kind of builds up. We're losing Dark Patch. That's meaningful to a number of some dark decks. Obviously, Hydreigon is gonna get worse. Right. So,
Yeah, I think I think Roaring Moon EX is a. Well, I don't know if Roaring Moon EX is better right now. I think it definitely is better, but people are playing a lot of Head Dragon EX.
yeah, we're losing Gapejaw Bog, which is fun
Yeah.
for your
Did
Dojo
you say
deck.
Energy Lotto? Did you?
I skipped that one. So,
I think
go
that is
ahead.
somewhat meaningful. Like right now, it's seeing play. Right now,
Yeah.
it's seeing play in Trap Ghost EX, but it is seeing play in that deck because of the or Double Turbo Energy. Most of the decks it's seeing play in are Double Turbo Energy decks, but
Right.
it is the best way to hit special energies right now, and the only way, really, as far as I'm aware. There's gaps, but that's different and also rotating. But
Right. Well, and
Energy Lotto. Wait, is Energy Lotto rotating? Yeah, it is rotating.
yeah.
So, um,
Yeah, I mean, or you could get like Pidgeot EX in play, right? And then you can,
yeah, I mean, FJX gets whatever, but obviously it's only getting one card. Um,
yeah,
it's like special energy are essentially unsearchable. They're the only cards that are unsearchable with the knockdown now.
okay, yeah. So look, yeah, Energy is an important card. I've played it on and off, and other decks of people in decks have played it on and off. We're losing one of the anticipated but highly disappointing cards, Gardenia's Vigor, which I've tried many different ways. It's just all underwhelmed. So sorry, Gardenia's Vigor, your day never came. It looks like so. With that. We're losing a very meaningful card in Hisuian Heavy Ball. I think we're going to miss that a lot more than, people aren't thinking that this is a card we're going to miss a lot, but I think we're really going to miss it a lot. Once it,
Yeah, it's definitely a card that felt like it kind of made the game feel better. The prize cards can be annoying and frustrating at times, and the Pokemon TCG, they're one of its defining mechanics. I think I don't know much about other TCGs, but I think I know that like some people have said that's an important mechanic, and it is an interesting mechanic. But there are times when it's very frustrating, and Hisuian Heavy Ball has helped with that a lot.
right. And we are losing Roxanne, so that's one of those disruption comeback cards. So losing that, which isn't the hugest thing. I wish we were losing Season Spicy Curry because I'd like to play it now.
Spices, yeah.
Spicy Season Curry, but it actually is an E regulation mark. Switch Cart we're losing, so that some decks care about that. Temple of Sinnoh, that trekking shoes is meaningful. I will say that's the last card to me from this set that's meaningful. It helps decks with that
Not
end.
unidentified fossil. Wait, is
Well,
that even rotating? I don't. I think it is. It
okay,
doesn't really. Oh yeah, now because you used to be able to play. So like the Credelia, right?
which is that?
No, it's a fossil, a stage 2, but you can actually rare candy from two different fossils because of like weird ruling stuff. So you can rare candy it from unidentified fossil, or you can
Okay,
rare candy it from antique root fossil or whatever.
Okay. And of course, we're losing Wait and See Turbo. So
My favorite card.
if
And
you don't
Zizou,
remember
the
what that
best
is,
one.
go look up the text yourself. So because I
Yeah.
forgot what Wait and See Turbo did.
Wait and See Turbo is so bad. It's like actually one of the worst cards I've ever seen. Oh, I don't know if that's true. It's pretty bad. It's pretty bad. But there's some interesting cards. Temple Sinnoh also like doesn't really matter. Like Temple Sinnoh is a good card, but again,
Right.
countering double turbo energies like it does counter mist energy. There are definitely some things it does counter, and it
Right.
is somewhat
Missed
meaningful.
Jet Energy. Although Jet Energy again falls off, and Lugia, we're losing Lugia, so it's less important than it in the future. So
Yeah. And then moving on to Pokemon Go is the next set, which is a mini
yeah.
set. We do have Radiant Charizard from this set, which is obviously a very good card.
Yes.
Um, yeah,
I,
not too much to say about it other than it's very good.
no, I mean it's probably I think the number 2 Radiant Pokemon, right? Greninja I think is clear 1. Radiant Charizard is probably a clear number 2.
Yeah. And then there's a Slowbro, which you kind of mentioned earlier, which before the podcast, not today,
Right.
or not on the podcast. And you take 2 prizes if your opponent has 1 remaining. It's a pretty good card, to be honest. It can win games. It's an interesting card. Doesn't seem too much play. It saw play within Zoroark decks, but not as much outside of that. But it is a pretty interesting card. You can do some weird things with like Dusknoir now with it as well if you want.
Right, and we're losing double. Besides losing this card, we lose the double turbo. So even if it stuck around with that double turbo to power it up in 1 turn, it wouldn't
You
be
do have
very.
reversal, which could be good. It might not always work, but it might work. But
Yeah, when you say reversal energy, I just all I have visions of failure if flash
well,
before
but
my
they have
eyes.
1 prize remaining, so
Yeah, so I can hopefully use it.
yeah. And then I don't know. There's like the Articuno, Zapdos, and Moltres, which do increase damage of basic Pokemon. Zapdos, I guess,
Yeah.
is pretty meaningful within Miraidon. I don't play too much Miraidon, though I have played it a little bit more as of late. But yeah, Miraidon is definitely
Mhm.
a deck that is like losing a bunch of pieces. It's not like a deck that's just gonna like die, but it is losing some pieces, a bunch of pieces. And then
Well, we have
Ludo and Solra.
exactly. That's what I say. We have everybody's favorite single prize deck. But if you played Pokemon PTCGO, the old online client at this time, like half the games, like for at least a month, was just Lunatone Solrock. That's what everybody played, right?
A lot of people played it. It was like a very mediocre deck as well. I feel like it's kind of like I view it in a very similar way as Raging Bull Logorphon, where like everyone's playing it, and it's like I mean Raging Bull Logorphon is definitely much better. Though I don't think Raging Bull Logorphon is super great. I think it's an okay deck, but
Yeah.
Luto's Arc was like all over the place, and it was kind of annoying because it was really boring. It's like a very straightforward deck. You just go in with your Lunatones and stuff. We are losing the Onyx though, which is played in the Slow King deck. So if you're playing that, you will lose the Onyx. I don't know who's playing that, but if you are, then you're losing that.
Okay.
Then
Yeah.
Ditto.
Ditto, right? Ditto, and there's another one on that same line that we're gonna talk about. So Ditto,
Oh yeah, yes.
which I
The barrel. It's the other barrel. That's what we're talking about.
so the Ditto with the sudden transformation ability, you can copy any basic non-rule box Pokemon's attack from your discard pile. You just need the energy. So I enjoyed that. I'm still playing it. I like that a lot. So I'm gonna miss this guy for sure. Right now it is broken. It's actually in live. It's been regularly broken in different ways. And right now we can copy an attack of one of the rotating Pokemon that makes you immune to damage. So turn after turn, which you're not supposed to be able to do. So and it's caused the game to crash in the past. So I guess it's good for live that it's rotating because the programmers don't seem to be able to actually sort this card out.
Yeah. And then the other card is Barrel, which prevents, what does it prevent? It prevents like crushing hammers to like the venture. Oh no, it says, yeah, it prevents like crushing hammers. Um, yeah, no, we're talking about Snorlax. Snorlax,
Yes.
it has been very good in the format for quite a while and very annoying as well. It is actually, there are a few cards like Snorlax, and there will be no way to trap your opponent in the active particularly well after this. We're losing Snorlax, we're losing Mawile, we're
Right.
losing Double Turbo for Wellspring Mass Ogerpon EX. And then what do we have? We have like Omastar, which is the same as Snorlax, except instead of being a basic, it's a stage 2 fossil. So, that's worse. And
Yes.
then I don't really know. I mean, there are some attacks that kind of trap. As far as I'm aware, I don't think I'm forgetting anything. I guess you could play. Um, what's there? There's the Scovillain.
Okay.
So Scovillain EX does which is actually I think a meaningful thing. I know I'm like kind of going on about this, but it does stop them retreating. It does burn them, but you could then play a stadium to stop them from
so,
like
so you don't take
like
prizes.
yeah, I think you need to because it's like so I don't know. I've thought about this and it's definitely a really big thing for control. Control's taking big hits
Yeah.
with this set, and Snorlax obviously is a very good card. It's been I think it's one of the most underrated decks within quite a while. It's arguably been the best deck in the game since it came out. Like not all the time, but a decent amount of the time. Like if you look at its win rate, it's really high, and its win rate's high in tournaments that you know keep it down as well due to the tournament setting. So if you're just playing on a ladder or just in regular games, then it'll be even better than that.
Yeah, look, I mean, I'm glad Black Snorlax is rotating. I don't. I assume you are too. I don't know. It's just too good of an ability on a basic Pokemon with a solid amount of HP. So, I think this card was kind of broken, and the only reason it didn't see more play is that people don't like control, right? It was too easy to get things going. So I'm glad it's gone, as I think most of our listeners are as well.
Yeah, definitely. Well, it's not gone yet. It's not gone yet, and they might
It's
reprint it.
not.
We'll see. Like, who's a I don't know any of the trainers. So we're gonna see like another Snorlax, and it's just gonna say like the same thing.
Yeah,
Um,
I mean, they'd love to ban control cards from expanded, and they'd love to print them for standard. So
yeah.
it's so we're
Yeah, this was like
losing.
the start of where like we got new control cards. Like Snorlax wasn't that good when it came out at first. It was like a funny meme deck, and people were like,
Yeah,
"Oh, that's funny," and then it stopped being funny after it became good, which was not that long for it to become good. So, and
right.
it's been kind of insane, but it is leaving the format.
Yeah. So we're losing. All right. So to move on, we're losing everyone's favorite lure module.
That
But
was a control card. Yep, played
it
in Snorlax.
yeah,
No, I don't know. Yeah, in Snorlax.
yeah. I mean, but not for long. But we're losing Pokestop. That's a very meaningful card. Right, a stadium. So it's one of those cards. If you want to play an engineless deck, it's very good. Or obviously, there are a number of decks that are going to stay in standard format that are going to miss Pokestop. So again, take advantage of Pokestop while we have it. It allows to have kind of that. You can play Pokegear 3.0. You can play Pokestop. You play like trekking shoes, and you can kind of dig through your deck. So we're losing some important cards there.
Yeah. And we're not losing rare. If you're looking at the video, we're not losing rare candy. If anyone's wondering, I don't think anyone's really wondering that because this isn't the art that like anyone plays.
Right.
But yeah, and then we're also losing Spark, Bonk, and Candela. They're so bad, but they are cards. And yeah,
Yeah.
the Pokemon Go is just such a weird set. There are like a few like insane cards, and then the rest of it was pretty terrible. But anyways, then we need to talk about Lost Origin. Lost Origin's probably it's a really good set. I think I just want to start off talking about the Lost Zone within this
Okay.
set. I know we're
Right.
kind of like completely breaking out out of order. But Lost Zone, by the way, if you don't know what a Lost Zone card, so Lost Zone, obviously, it's the mechanic. Your cards like just go away. But the Lost Zone cards all look like they have this like weird pink, blue, and purple like line. So every Lost Zone card has that, including Rotom V. Yeah, it's got those lines. We're not talking about Rotom V just yet. But Lost Zone, you had Comfy and
Right.
Close Experiment to put stuff in the Lost Zone. You got Sableye, Cramorant, and Mirage Gate to capitalize off of it. And
Yeah, I mean
the
there are
Lost Vacuum and Mirage and Lost City are rotating. They are meaningful cards,
yeah, more
especially Lost
broadly.
Vacuum, but they're not really. Yeah, they're not necessarily just like Lost Zone cards, especially not Lost City. But definitely like a really good archetype. One that I think was kind of cool. In some ways annoying because of the spread options with Sableye, and then you would be using Radiant Greninja with that as well, most likely. But definitely, yeah, I think it was like a cool. I mean, it's a single prize attack that was good and is good still.
Right. Right. It's an engine, so you can use it as an engine with Mirage Gate to power up whatever you want. People have tried it that way. You can make it the engine for multi-prize deck too. You can have the single prize deck that kind of Radiant Greninja or Radiant Charizard with it. It's very versatile. It's a lot of decision making. It's one of the decks I think that's kind of can be slow because you're making a lot of decisions. They're very difficult decisions because you're lost zoning cards, meaning you can't ever recover them. And often if they played a bunch of different energies, thin lines. So it's been a hard deck to play, which it's a deck that's good but difficult. Some decks like that are good in the game. So kind of probably
And
glad
then
it's
also.
going. Just it's
uh,
always been a bit annoying, but it's a good deck too.
Yeah, and also I didn't mention his two and Gudra V-Star. That's not a Lost Zone card, but was played with that, played with Arceus, and played within Reggie Draco V-Star. And then same thing with Giratina V-Star, though it's better a little bit than Hisu and Gudra V-Star, both in this set as well. And then Well, there's also a Snorlax, which is like an okay card. Is like a mediocre attacker played in Lugia, played in Lost. It's honestly just a solid cardless attacker. That's definitely been like a card that's been, I think, pretty under the radar, but an okay card nonetheless. And then
We're losing
we are,
Delphox V, which is if you like Firebox, this is a very important card because it
yeah,
hits
losing
the
Mega Basin. It wouldn't have been good anyways, right? But
right. But again, yeah, right, yeah, it'd be probably not. You couldn't power it up well enough, but that's
yeah,
been an important card.
yeah.
One
The
to
Beauty Fly draw till 6.
That's the one, right? The other one for the Grottle that we're losing. So
Yeah,
there we go. Yeah, we're losing
quality stuff right there.
Kiram
Yeah.
V actually. So we'll talk. You want to talk about Rotom V?
Yeah, I'm looking at the water stuff and nothing too good. I mean, there's some like solids, like Consume Basket Agent's an okay card, but it's not that good. Yeah. Rotom V,
Oh wait, I'm sorry. I before we do that, we are losing the Finneon with the Swim Freely ability tied to it, where you accelerate energy. So if you want to mess around with that, and we do have some newer cards, right? That
yeah,
tie
you can
into
play Swim
that.
freely post rotation. You just can't accelerate the energies.
Right.
So that's kind of bad,
So
but
if
you
you
can
want
still
to,
play it.
yeah, if you want to try out the Swim Freely, do it now before rotation because it's not going to be viable post rotation probably. So again, just put on your radar to play in the next couple months in that regard.
Yeah, or not. It's not very good, but you can play it. And you can play it with the Thwacky and the various things. But
Yep.
yeah, we are losing that. And Kieran VMAX, which is one of the better VMAXs in the game, I guess. There's only like 10 or 11 or 12 of them, but it's a card. And Magnezoid V-Star. Magnezoid V-Star is actually like an okay card in Miraidon, but not played that much. But kind of interesting.
Yeah, right. It's all little play, but so Rotom V is obviously an important card. Instant charge. I don't think it got a lot of attention when it first came out, probably, and maybe it wasn't as
Yeah. It
good.
was outclassed by Rotom or by Zacian V as well. Or kind of outclassed. I mean,
Often, right? Zacian.
it's certainly a better card. The abilities are kind of the same.
Yeah. So, but obviously, Rotom V gets splashed into a lot of decks now. So we'll miss that. A lot of decks will miss that. So just something to keep in mind there is what I'd say.
Yeah, you like to attack with it, I know. But
I love Rotom V attacking decks, yes, but I'll admit they weren't the best decks around. But again, I'm also excited about playing the Swim Freely decks too. So each person gets to do what they want in the game.
Yep. And then there was the Clefairy. Yep, that one was kind of like Luatone Shellrock. That one was not really all over the place, but I don't know. Do you remember the Clefairy?
This is the energy acceleration one, right?
Yeah, you accelerate all your bench Clefairies and then like do damage and
Yeah, I mean, I've
stuff.
been playing with it recently too, right? We got the Enamorous V, which makes you immune to the Dragapult EX. So it was like super hype. And then we have, I forget, a couple different attacking options, right? So it just obviously was awkward to get set up, but it was fun to swing with it. And then we also losing Gengar with it, which was good for like Hisuian and
Yeah.
Zoroark.
Oh, and then that's in this set as well. Damage Pump. Gabe Jabog we
Yep.
mentioned earlier, but the whole Hisuian Zoroark reset package is leaving.
Mhm.
Which is a little unfortunate, I guess.
And you mentioned the
And
Mawile.
Yeah,
Okay, yeah,
I
sorry.
know everyone's favorite card. It's one of the trapping ones. It's pretty good, I guess. It's leaving though. I'm gonna be sad. Mawil's one of my favorite cards. I don't play it too much, but I think it's really good. You can like toss into different things, but we
Right.
are gonna be losing it.
Right.
And
It's a basic Pokemon that attacks for 1 energy, so you could slap that in because when it helped bring down Gardevoir back, was it when no one was playing Switch, somebody just slapped one Mawile in their deck and it just brought these decks to their knees. So it's nice having that option to keep people honest in the game.
yeah, and it does mean you do more damage to them next turn as well if they like don't immediately switch out, which is really interesting and something that has never really been interacted with. But it is a really interesting thing. I think I had a game. It was like super bizarre with like Mawile, and I think my opponent tried to Mawile me to do more damage, but then due to resistance, I think they like it was an attack. I don't know, for some reason like it didn't do any damage, and then they tried to like add to it with Mawile, but that doesn't work. It was some really weird situation. But Mawile is a cool card. There are do we want to talk about the other psychic cards? There's some other cool ones here.
There's nothing else I need to talk about, so you can if you want to, but
I mean, there's Spectre and Mimikyu from Psychic Box and Cresselia. Well, Cresselia was in Gardevoir. That was probably more meaningful. Bayonet's also okay, but Mimikyu is the same as the new Azelf, which is cool, I guess. Oh, it's not the same. The new
Azelf
Azelf's a
is
little better
better,
even.
right? So
It can't confuse for one though. So
Yeah, yeah. So I mean, right? We both played that, but now it's been outclassed, so time to
Yeah, I
move
guess the
on.
Uxie is better than the Spectre as well. They could do 120 for 3, which could be meaningful. But yeah, Suin Arcanine, another like that's it's a cut. It's whatever. Aerodactyl V-Star was the V-Star that is or was better than the
Uh,
Hisuian Decidueye V-Star. So
yeah,
it's a thing. And then there's also for these fighting Pokemon, they're so bad.
yeah,
Let's see. Oh, Drapion V was a really good card, but that was useless. Its ability doesn't do anything, so that's bad.
y-
Radiant History and Sneasler is rotating though. That's a card that does see play in Cloth. Cloth is gonna take a pretty big hit with this well double turbo energy mostly, but um, yeah, it's a little unfortunate for Cloth fans around. I know there are quite a few of those. Pidgeot V, another control card as well. I mean, Force Hailstone's rotating, right? So we'll talk about that.
right. Well,
But
it's some important dragon Pokemon, right? Which we're losing. We haven't
which we
got.
talked about, right?
Well, you mentioned Giratina V Star, Goodra V Star.
Yeah, with Lost Zone.
Okay, but also that's not how they get played now. Now they get played with
Oh yeah, with Reggie
Regidrago
Draco or
V-Star.
I guess.
And I've been playing Arctina again lately just for looking for something to play. And it's still that's still a very solid deck, I think, as well. So they're big. And we're losing Hisuian Zoroark V-Star.
Yeah.
That's been a fun one. So you're losing Arc Phone, so now you can't get anything out of your prize cards anymore, right? Are we gonna
No,
lose it?
that's where's oh that's Arcron. Oh yeah, yeah.
Right? And we lose
So
Hisuian Heavy Ball and Arc Phone, so how can you get your prize cards after this? Is there any way to
you don't know. I don't know if there is nothing that I can think of, but there probably is like something weird, some like attack or something. I'm not really sure though, to be honest. And then
right?
we're
You mentioned
losing.
Lost City and Lost Vacuum with the Lost Zone cards, but they're bigger cards that impact a lot of things. So, so those are losses to keep in mind. Losing Thornton,
Yeah,
which is kind of fun, but it's always been a little, I think,
yeah,
underwhelming.
losing Misfortune Sisters and Bufla. I know everyone's like so distraught over that one. Those.
Oh,
Um,
that's right, Misfortune Sister. So another important control card we're losing there.
Yeah, and Buffalon's pretty good as well. And then Gift Energy. Gift Energy is actually a pretty good card. I mean, it's mostly what in like Lugia. But Gift Energy is, I think it's one of the best special energies in the game. I mean, special energies aren't that good right now, but
There's double
it's kind of
turbo,
good.
right? I would say double
Well,
turbo
it's
is
not
pretty
the
good.
best, as it is one of the best.
Okay,
Like
and
there's
I
only like
you also
15.
said they're not important in the game, and I'd say double turbo is important in the game still.
Yeah, I guess it is with like
Okay.
trap cards, and I guess like Lugia is like a good deck as well. But whatever. Then speaking of Lugia, let's talk about Silver Tempest with two
Uh,
top decks. Wait, what?
so
Lugia? You don't like?
just 1 second. So Lugia came out so sorry. So if you're playing Pokemon TCGO, right? This was like basically the end. You basically got become a Lugia format until they sunset it, right?
Yeah.
And if you moved into live, I think they gave out the Lugia deck. So and everyone's account was new. So basically, all you could play was Lugia mirrors in live. It just kind of besides being such a dominant deck. IRL, the online scene, it just kind of ruined. It took over that much too far too.
Yeah, which was just weird. It's not necessarily Lugia's fault. The Lugia was super broken with Aurora energy, but that is long gone. But Lugia V Star is obviously good with Archeops and what did the set? Did that set have anything else to help it? I don't remember, but obviously Lugia Archeops has been very good since it came out. It's been one of the better decks in the game. And then the other V Star is Reggie Draco V Star, which I thought was going to be like so cool and so good, and then it was bad, and now it's good again. Now it's I
Yeah,
guess better than Lugia. I don't know. They're both like pretty solid decks, but Reggie Draco is definitely a
yeah,
deck that's really interesting that's come back
right. It
or
had
come into the
one
game, I
way that
guess.
was okay. Like you would attack with this like stage 2 Dragonite to do 180 and accelerate some energy. It was like a common card and stuff. But now the Reggie Draco decks are just so much better. So
Yeah, I think Dragonite's okay because people play Alolan Executor EX, which accelerates, and Dragonite like is kind of better. I don't really get the Alolan Executor EX in the deck. Like, you can like do stuff against basics, and you can do some things with it, but I don't know. It seems kind of mediocre.
yeah. But so you skipped over Radiant
A lot of
Serena.
stuff.
I missed. That one's fine. That's not a bad Radiant. But there's
Among Us,
no,
the card that no one can ever play, because it doesn't really do anything.
yeah. I mean, most of these cards aren't. And obviously Lugia was huge, and most of these cards aren't great. So I'm trying
Yeah.
to, I like Regieleki VMAX, but Raid Alakazam. That's a meaningful one, right? That's what could be the third. That's one of the top 5 probably Radiant Pokemon, and it's in
Yeah,
interesting
probably third.
decks with Painful Spoons, right? Those decks where you're trying to manipulate things, control the game. It's an important card, so that's been
You
nice.
control the
And
game through damage, not like control
Right.
decks.
Correct. So yes, and this Magius was a fun one too to mess around with
Yeah,
as
I
a
will
single
say
price deck.
Alone Vulpix V-Star was also like kind of good. Cornerstone Master Ponyx has really directly outclassed it. It's like way better, but Alone
Yes.
Vulpix V-Star was solid for some time. And then Curlia as well. Curlia is good, obviously, and is gonna be a major loss for Gardevoir
Right.
specifically. And we talked about some with the light part as well.
Yeah. Right. Curly is a huge hit there. So I don't know. I assume Gardevoir is just good with its ability, so it will stick around. But not sure what it'll be. So. Oh, and we're losing Claydol, one of my favorites there,
Yeah,
with the
you got
mystery.
Curlia on one side, Claydol on the other, evenly matched.
They're both stage ones. They both have a very powerful ability. And Claydol's better than Curly because Curly you have to use to help get to your Gardevoir. Claydol gives you energy acceleration on the stage one, right? You accelerate energy once per turn to a fighting energy to one of your cards Pokemon. All you got to do is not have any supporters in the discard pile. Easy peasy. So it's
Yep,
been
that's
a lot of
true.
fun.
And then there's also Mawile V-Star, my favorite. Mawile V-Star, underrated card. Not great, but underrated.
Underrated. Okay,
Yeah.
maybe because no one thinks about it at all. So
Yep. Then Terrakion, the card that is completely broken in live right now. Well,
right.
I don't know, with Ditto, so you can just be invincible
You,
forever.
you can spam it, right? It's right. It says you can't use that attack back to back turns. You can't reset it by switching or anything, but now you can just spam it. So I'm guessing the question will be, are they going to try and fix it before the card rotates in live? Probably not, is my guess. But
Yeah, that's also my guess.
and if they do try and fix it, it'll probably cause some other problem that because the whole
Yeah.
Ditto thing
There's some
was
other problem that'll be like much worse. It'll be like, oh, all of a sudden Magic Jacob V-Star doesn't work or something like that. Um, but yeah. Oh, speaking of, well, no, I don't know. If Pokemon that starts with R, we got Radiant Jirachi, which is an interesting Radiant. It's a card, gets knocked when it gets knocked out, its ability comes into effect, and you search for some cards. It doesn't need to be knocked on the active, but we
right.
don't have Path anymore. Path of the Peak like shut this card down, and it was like really bad because your opponent would just play the stadium, then just knock you out, and you get no value from it. That's like a weird attack as well. It's
And
a
a
weird card.
weird attack. It's a great attack. For on a single prize for one energy attachment, you knock out any Pokemon your opponent stands up there, right?
Yeah,
All you got to do is flip two heads,
yeah,
and
yeah.
of course have the
Pocket.
double
It's
turbo
like
attack.
Marowak EX.
So exactly, it was Pocket before Pocket. So I mean, there's some other. Let's see, and I was
This
those.
had just so many weird cards as well. This had the Swords of Justice combo, which had the Cobalion. It had
Yeah,
the no supporter stuff. It had the Pikachu deck thing with Togedemaru. So I actually want to read these cards out. We got time. We got time. I don't know if we have time.
we
We have
have
enough
no
time.
time. But go on.
We have time. So Togedash says for one lightning on Togedemaru does 10, and on a coin flip, if heads, you don't give up prizes next turn. This Togedemaru, so you might not give up a prize there. Then Dedenne does 60 for one lightning. But you can only use this if you use Togedemaru's Togedash attack last turn, and then into your Togedemaru has to use it. You can't use Ditto. And then your opponent's active is now paralyzed. Nice. And then you have two other attacks. You have the Pikachu. Pikachu's going to do a massive 180. No, sorry, just 200 for one lightning on a basic. If you used Dedenne's Dede Short last turn. And you could also, instead of that, use more Pico, which does 60 to each of your opponent's Pokemon if you used Dedenne's Dede Short last turn. So you had that deck. That deck is so bad. But it was funny, and they put a lot of effort into it. It's really bad, but
Yeah, I mean they're obviously looking for the meme deck thing out there. They wanted some YouTube videos, and they said, hey, we got it with that one. But yeah, it was not good. Look, there are other good cards here, though, right? I mean, we can.
yeah, there's Spinda and Ensuing Braviary. There's some spread cards. Candace, Brandon,
Capturing
Professor
Robo wasn't
Laventon.
terrible. We have four Seal Stone, all right? So that's obviously a very good card. And obviously we're losing the V, so you can't use a V-Star power, but very good card. There, Rotom V with four Seal Stone. It helps make Arvin very good too, so losing that. And that's mostly it. We're losing Quad Stone.
Yeah, my favorite card. There's some
Serene,
other okay cards, but like Serena, VR Energy are kind of like useless post rotation.
right.
And Unidentified Fossil, it's back, and it is still leaving. Yep.
Worker's not bad, obviously, and stuff, but yeah. But obviously, Lugia dominated it with some other random stuff. We had Ho OV, which is another weird card too, with what it does. So, It's fun to mess around trying to do something semi-viable with it. That's what I'll say.
Crobat V takes 2 extra prizes on knockout, but it only does 30 for 3 on a stage 2. But it takes 2 extra prizes. That's crazy.
Wait,
Not good, but crazy.
Crobat V was in the set?
No, Crobat, the one. Did I say Crobat V? I might have actually. But Crobat from it does 30 snipe anywhere, and then takes 2 extra prizes if you take a knockout. So
yeah, I'm trying to think that I tried a deck with that. I might have. I don't remember now. I don't think it went well. Probably.
Yeah, I think you can do some stuff with like Dusknoir and like do some funny stuff, but it's really bad. But it's kind of funny.
Yeah. And then it was the unknown V too, right?
Unknown V, where its attack says, I'm going to read part of it. It says you win the game. But that's not all of what it says. It says you can only use it if you have 1 prize remaining. So you'll probably just win the game anyways if you have a bunch of energy in a basic. So
it's a V Pokemon with 3 energy. So you probably have to have It's one of those things you work to make it happen, but it's like, would you have won the game anyway? Yeah, you probably would. So anyway, I think that covers that. So right, and then Crown Zenith had a few things.
Oh yeah, I forgot. There's another set. Crown Zenith had
Leafeon VSTAR, which actually was a promo.
That was actually the first VSTAR, or there's Glaceon VSTAR as well. Wait, is Glaceon VSTAR not in the set? Looks like it is not.
I don't think it is. So that was only as a promo. So if you want to talk about that, it's the promo. Leafeon VSTAR wasn't bad, especially when it first came out. And it does one-shot Charizard EX, but also Ivysaur lets you gust once per game. So that was a very useful VSTAR power. But early on, there was a better Leafeon V with an ability. So that made it a little better as well.
Yeah, that like set it up, which was quite nice. And then there was the Radiant Charizard that I think most people use, which is the newest one, which is what Limitless uses. There's the Kyogre, which like season play and Chimpao, but whatever. Then Luxray, which you can start at the beginning of the game as you're active, and you can search for 2 trainers. It's an interesting card that you can like control your mulligans, and you can play. I guess it's played Narcaladon some. I haven't played that, but that seems kind of interesting.
Yeah, and we have everybody's favorite VSTAR that we're going to miss, Rotom VSTAR. That's not very good. All right, I grant you that.
Yeah, and then we got Radiant Chargerbug. That's so good. No, that's also not good. Wait, Mew V. Oh yeah, there's a bunch of cards that also rotated. Like Mew V apparently.
Yeah, I mean, there's fun things like Executor, which was fun to mess around with. Like, I think that I might have had I probably had an Executor Clefairy deck.
Wait, Executor?
For one psychic.
Oh, there's a psychic one. Oh yeah, I don't think anyone else played that.
Well, I don't know why it does. It's busted, right? It's for 1 energy. I love that single stage 1, not bad. Does 20 per energy attached to all your Pokemon. You get your enormous V on the bench. Everything's immune to effects of attacks and damage from attacks on the bench. So you're 100% bench protected, and you're doing massive damage.
Not 100%. You're like 80% bench protected because your enormous V isn't bench protecting yourself. I don't think.
That's true. That is true. So anyway, got some silly things there, and there's not too much else.
and V. Radiant Eternatus. Radiant Eternatus, I think, is an underrated card. It does 200 for 3 on a basic single prizer, which is like kind of good. It is Fire Darkness colorless, which is like kind of awkward. But I think it is like a viable card within Lost Zone, but it didn't really see much play. But also gets like VMAX is down, but it's a weird card. Stoutland V was a while ago. Regigigas VSTAR, cool card. Pretty fun one.
I just never got this one, but I know people played it.
I don't think any. people did play it, but I think its VSTAR power is really fun. Because it like allows you to discard one of your opponent's bench Pokemon, which is like insane. Well, it's not just they need to be down to like 1 prize, I think. But it's a funny VSTAR power that I think I played it and I just like discard their Manaphy and then like messed up their bench. There's also there's an Oranguru that lets you copy your opponent's supporters, like use their supporters, which is kind of fun as an attack. So that's cool. You can like gust or draw or something. And then there's Sky Sealstone. This card was actually good, but now that no one plays V-Stars or VMAX, or specifically VMAXs, it's really bad. But it was a card that was okay.
Yeah, it's it has to be with a V-Star or VMAX, even not a basic V. So
knocking those out, and you need to be attacking with a basic V.
Okay, you're attacking with a basic V. Okay, so yeah, very niche and obviously not relevant at all now. So so obviously there's a lot of cards. There's a number of obviously controls leading a bunch of cards. So which I'm largely glad for. I'm glad that Snorlax is rotating finally when it does. We still have to put up with that.
Pokemon's gonna be like, "Yo, we decided we want to reprint one special card. Everyone loves it."
I'm guessing they'll give us at least a couple sets without a reprint of Snorlax. Hopefully, a long time, but I don't know. Right? Sometimes their decision making is a bit odd, so we will see. But there's a lot of some good cards, obviously, and there's also a lot of fun cards. So, this isn't a rotation that's like crushing things. I wouldn't say. We're not losing a lot of cards that we're like, oh, how are we going to survive? But it's going to shake things up, and it always takes away interesting options. That's but then we add more cards in, right? So that's where we'll be at in a couple months.
And we will maybe some decks will open up if certain cards leave the format. Maybe like spread decks if you're looking at something and you're like, oh, I can't deal with mana fee. Well, you don't have to now. So, maybe we'll see what gets reprinted and stuff like that. But definitely excited to see what we're going to see when rotation happens. It's going to be a whole new set, a whole new like mechanic, and it's always a very exciting time. But anyways, we hope you enjoyed the podcast episode and the video. We're on YouTube. You can contact us there if you have like questions. If you have questions for me, 10 types, you can ask on my channel, and for Uncommon Foster, you can ask on that channel as well. And you can check us out on podcasting platforms as well, like Spotify and other things. But as I said, if you do have questions, ask us on YouTube, because podcasting platforms are kind of weird. But we hope you enjoyed, and we're excited to see you in the next episode.
Take care.